As we talk about um, this COVID-19, all of us know these are unprecedented times. And probably this is the most disruptive thing that has happened to all of us in our lifetime. So I was talking to my parents and I asked them, did you experience anything like this in your lifetime? They said, no, this is the first time. We have seen wars, we have seen epidemics, we have seen riots, locking people down in their homes, but we have not seen anything like this, which is for together, months together, and happening at the same time across the globe. Not just in one city, one state, one country, it's happening across the globe. More than 3 billion people have been locked down to their residences. This has never happened before, when so many people have been, in a way, imprisoned by a pandemic, and they have locked themselves down inside their houses. What's happening at this time? Many businesses are shutting down. Many organizations are on the verge of closing down. There are societies, there are families, there are individuals who are trying to come to grip. They're trying to get a grip on this crisis. And they're absolutely struggling. Everybody is desperately waiting for this crisis to pass by. And as we see at the same time, there is a need for all of us to get prepared and look ahead. As we move ahead, there is a need for all of us to see how we can prepare ourselves to get over this crisis, and at the same time, also see how we can prepare ourselves for the future which is lying ahead of us. I think that's the most important thing. So in the context of today, where organizations are struggling, where businesses are really trying to maintain the foothold, where families, societies, countries, provinces are really struggling to stay alive, what can L&D do? What is going to be the role of L&D? It's important for L&D to understand that COVID-19 has brought about a disruption, but it's also important for all of us to understand that few weeks from now, or a couple of months from now, when we get over this crisis, eventually we're going to conquer this crisis. Eventually, humanity, mankind is going to win over this crisis. But once we get over this crisis, the world beyond COVID-19 is going to be a different world. While many of us believe that we might just go back to the past, where we were about 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, or 2 months or 3 months ago, we are not going to get back to that world again. So we are going to go to a new world which is beyond COVID-19. And in this new world, we'll see that there are some industries which will struggle and some others will thrive. We'll see some organizations, some businesses will perish. We'll see some businesses coming out stronger. We'll see several organizations closing down. We'll see several organizations emerging. We'll see millions of people getting unemployed. We'll also see there'll be new skills on demand. We will not find talent for those skills, for those capabilities, for those competencies. Risk management, contingency planning, business continuity planning will get the kind of importance which it never got before. This is probably going to get the highest priority. Governments are going to focus on healthcare. Healthcare for all probably would be a primary mission that governments would have. Today, if you look at the testing for COVID-19, the mission, the objectives that governments have taken up is to make this testing available for free for everybody, for the rich and the poor alike. And as we go back to the new normal, while organizations will have a choice to get their people back to their offices, we will see many organizations will choose to get their people or have their people work from home. They will let them continue to work from home. They would probably see this is a new norm. This is a possibility. This can happen. Many organizations always registered the idea of letting people work from home. While several organizations allowed that to happen, there are many which did not allow. But now most organizations have been forced to do that, have been forced to allow people to work from home, and then they have seen that it is possible. And that probably would continue. Organizations, businesses will see the benefit of letting people work from home. And working from home, working online, playing online, shopping online, getting your medicines online, getting your treatment online, probably would become the new norm. So while many people have started doing it, now more and more people will very comfortably and conveniently do that. And the new world order would have new business models. New business models will emerge. New way of doing business, new way of getting to their customers, new way of working, new way of engaging with the people, new way of engaging with their partners. There are new business models that will emerge in the new world. So that's something that we're going to see, ladies and gentlemen. The new world is going to be very different after COVID-19. While all of us know that the humankind will achieve its victory over COVID-19, over the novel coronavirus, but we will never get back to the old world order. We're going to get a new world, which is going to be very different from what it was 3 months ago or a couple of months ago. Now, the question is, what next? What next for organizations? What is next for the workforce? What is next for all of us? Well, there are 3 roads which are ahead of us. There are 3 roads which are hugely visible to all of us. And if I have to name these 3 roads, the first one is the road to perish. The second one is the road to survive. And the third one is the road to thrive. So each one of us will have a choice. We'll have a choice to pick up one of these 3 roads, the road to perish, the road to survive, or the road to thrive. And who is going to take which road will depend on what actions we take, what decisions we make, what choices we make. So let's learn a little bit more about these 3 roads and possibly understand who is going to take which road. The road to perish would be taken by the people who are in a state of denial, who believe that this situation will get over quickly and then we will get back to normal, the old normal. And people who do not believe that there is going to be a new world order, a new normal. Such people who remain in a state of denial will continue to take the path to perish. The ones who will refuse to change because they will not see the need for change. They'll say, why change? We're all going to get back to the old normal in the next few weeks from now. They are the ones who will resist change. They will soon move to a state of anger, frustration, stress. They're the ones very soon would start blaming others for their suffering. They would externalize their problems. They are the ones who will wait for the world to get back to the old normal. They are the ones who are most likely going to take the path to perish. Now let's talk about who are going to take the road to survive. The ones who would acknowledge that the world is changing. The ones who believe that the world is going to shift to a new paradigm. The ones who would be in a state of exploration of new possibilities. The ones who would make serious effort to adapt to the new world. The ones who will be eager, willing keen and prepared to change themselves in response to the change that's happening around them. They will respond to the change in their external environment. And they're the ones who will be willing and prepared to change quickly. They're the ones who will be willing to follow the leaders, the front runners. They will be the ones who will be willing to learn quickly. And they are the ones who will take the path to survive. The ones who would change themselves in response to the change that is taking place outside. Now let's talk about who are going to take the roads to thrive. Unfortunately or fortunately, not many of us. Very few of us will take the road to thrive, prosper. The ones who would not just to adapt to change, but the ones who will change faster than change itself happening. The ones who will change, who will see the change before it comes. Who will be able to reimagine themselves to take advantage of the change. So they don't have to adapt to the change. Of course, they will adapt, but they will reimagine themselves to take advantage of the change. They will be excited about the possibilities, prospects of the new world. They will write the rules of the new world. They will not only prosper, succeed, write the rules of the new world. Not only they would be at the driver's seat, they would also help others who are struggling to adapt. They would help others prepare for change. They would have great amount of empathy for the rest of the world. They would have a sense of purpose to help, to make a difference to the world. They are going to reimagine and reinvent themselves in order not to be driven by the change, but to drive the change themselves. The key mantra for them would be reimagination, reinvention. They were the ones who will just reimagine their role, reimagine their function, reimagine their contribution, reimagine the way they can bring about change. And they're the ones who will thrive. The ones who cannot reimagine, they will not thrive. In a recent conversation, Simon Sinek, the very famous management guru, business maestro, was talking about how to reimagine and reinvent. He was saying that the video stores in the neighborhood did not survive, not because they were not good, they were good, but they could not reimagine themselves when Netflix came in. He was saying the taxi drivers, the taxi agencies, the travel agency were doing a good job. But they could not reimagine themselves. Uber and Ola came in because they could reimagine and reinvent. When the Starbucks came to the neighborhood, the coffee shops closed down not because they were bad, but they could not reimagine themselves. So for us to survive and to thrive, prosper, and excel in the new world, it's going to be important for all of us to reimagine and reinvent. Now the question is, can L&D, can learning and development reimagine itself? Can L&D reimagine its role? Can L&D reinvent itself? Can L&D rethink its strategy and future? That's going to be the key. That's going to define the future of L&D. So what's going to be the new world order and what are the challenges L&D will face? In the new world order, organizations will prefer online training over face-to-face training. They would have already seen the benefit of online, digital, virtual. Organization will cut down training budgets, the spend on training. Organization will cut their spend on nice-to-have training programs. They will probably spend on must-have, must-do training programs. training workshops, seminars, conferences, which probably call for congregation of people from 25, 30 people to 300 people. These programs are going to be put on hold. Trainers, facilitators, speakers, keynote speakers will not get a stage in near future to talk to people, to take to the stage to address a big gathering. That's going to change. L&D leaders, practitioners, trainers, facilitators will find it challenging to make a paradigm shift from classroom training to virtual training because it's about technology. It's about engagement. It's about adapting content to this environment, which they're not used to. It's about trying to figure out how to keep the attention of the participants, how to stay engaged with them, how to ensure that they're not distracted, how to ensure that there is a return on investment delivered through training programs. So these are going to be the challenges of the new world order. But the new world order are not just going to give us challenges, it's also going to give us opportunities. What opportunities the new world is going to give us? It's going to give us plenty of opportunities. It's going to give plenty of opportunities to L&D practitioners. We need to see them, identify them. We need to be quick movers to grab these opportunities. My dear friends, organizations will need help. They will need support. Many organizations will close down. Many would struggle to survive. They will need help. They will need help to bounce back. They will need help to transform themselves. They will need help to reinvent themselves, reimagine themselves. They will not have the capability to do that. They will not have the skills to do that. They will not have the talent to do that. There lies a great opportunity for L&D practitioners. Can we help organizations bounce back? Can we help organizations transform themselves? Can we help organizations become agile, flexible, adaptive? Who can do that? Can L&D play a role there? Organizations will have to come up with new business models. There are hundreds and thousands of people have to be trained on the new business models, new technologies, immersive, adaptive technologies. Organizations will have to prepare the workforce for the new world order, new ways of working. Who is going to enable the workforce to get ready for the new way of working, for the new world? Organizations in the space of healthcare, insurance, education, technology, especially in collaborative technology, and several other industries will grow. They will look for talent. They will look for talented people who are going to produce skilled and talented workforce for those industries. L&D has a tremendous opportunities there. If we move to slide number 9, which is opportunities, and organizations will look for impact, return on investment, training programs which can provide return on investment, training programs, learning interventions, which can drive impact will be on great demand. So tremendous opportunities for learning and development practitioners, huge opportunities. But we need to be ready for this. We need to be prepared for this. As we move to the next slide, the answer to this question, will L&D perish, survive, or thrive, will depend on the actions that we're going to take. It's going to depend on the journey that we are going to take. So let's look at the likely journey that L&D, learning and development functions, leaders, learning leaders, facilitators, trainers are likely to take. So this is the journey that we will have to take as well. So if we wait for organizations to get back to normal, get back to the way they used to do training, face-to-face classroom training sessions, they used to spend lavishly on training programs. They used to make people travel from across the globe to facilitate training sessions or attend training programs. That's not going to happen. If we're going to wait for it, we are going to perish. And my dear friends, that's not an option. That's definitely not an option. So we need to quickly move out of that mindset. If any one of us are in that mindset, and then move to the next step, which is in our journey, it's the path to survive. So quickly, we'll have to get there where we are capable of supporting organizational strategy, enabling organization to adapt to new way of working, deploying new way of learning. And as you can see today, most organizations have very quickly adopted virtual learning, online learning. There are thousands of webinars like this which are happening today. As we speak, there must be hundreds of seminars, webinars that might be going on across the globe. There is great amount of resilience that organizations and individuals and employees have displayed. They moved to new way of learning. But that's a survival strategy. That'll only help us survive. That'll help us remain alive. That'll help us stay there. But that may not really put us at the driver's seat. That may not really put us at the center stage. So L&D has to continue that journey from the road to survive, the journey to the road to thrive. That's important. That's where L&D has to decide how they can drive strategy. How can they shift from supporting strategy to driving strategy? How can the L&D leader in the organization speak to the CEO and then say, hey, I can help you build capability for the future. I can help you build capability in the organization to beat competition. I can build capability to meet the needs of the future. I can build capability in the organization so that the organization remain a market leader or achieve market leadership position. That's a strategic conversation L&D needs to have. L&D leader needs to tell the CEO that I'm going to help you drive your strategy. I'm not here to support your strategy. L&D leader, L&D function needs to drive the culture because the new world will require a new culture, new way of working, new way of engaging, new way of collaborating. How can L&D drive that culture in organizations? Can we do that? How can we design learner experience? Because in the future world, when learning is going to be largely driven by technology, the learner takes the center stage. It's all about experience. If you do not provide the learner experience, the learner will go elsewhere. The learner today has plenty of options to go to. So can we design learner experience? And can we drive ecosystem thinking? Ecosystem thinking is about holistic thinking. So if you go to the next slide, which is all about driving that holistic thinking. As you can see in the next slide, this ecosystem thinking is about aligning your people, experiences, learning analytics, technology, process, content, everything around business strategy. That's important. So L&D, an organization, L&D function, which can bring in that learning ecosystem thinking or holistic thinking, will be able to stitch all of this together. The people practices, the experience that we drive in the organization, learning analytics, people analytics, learning technology, learning processes, learning content, everything needs to be aligned to the business strategy. That's where L&D can make a difference. That's where L&D can play a very, very strategic role. And that's going to be L&D's journey towards reinventing, towards reimagining, towards rethinking its role. And as we move to the next slide, the question, will L&D perish or survive or thrive, will depend on the choices L&D leaders make. So how do we get there? For us to get there, we'll have to reimagine ourselves. And for us to reimagine ourselves, we'll have to pick up new skills, skills about technology, skills about engagement, skills about culture, skills about strategy. We'll have to build those new skills. But it's not just about skills. We'll also have to be adept at tools. So we need the right skill set. We also need the right tool set. What are the best adaptive learning technologies? What learning platforms we should use? What are the best assessments platform that we use? What's the best technology-enabled coaching platform that we can use? So we really need to enhance our skills on the tool set. But friends, it's not just about the skill set and the tool set. It's also about the mindset. Even today, when I talk to some of the L&D practitioners, there are leaders who stand up and say, hey, virtual training is not the best. It's not effective. It's not the best way to train people. Can we make a mindset shift? Can we say that we can make it happen? We can make it possible. We'll have to adapt to the new world order. It's the mindset that we can make a difference. It's a mindset that we can play a strategic role. It's the mindset, the belief that we are not an enabling function. We are not a support function. We are a business partner. We are a partner to the business. If we can make that shift, then we are here to thrive. But if we cannot make that shift, we might continue to support, enable, and we might survive. And if we cannot do that, then there is definitely a big question mark on our future. So that brings us to the next slide, which is the last slide. Some credits to the sources of the information, the research work that I have done, and some of the people I have spoken to, etc. So the bottom line is, can L&D thrive? Yes, it can thrive if it enables organizations to become more resilient, if it enables organizations to bounce back in the times beyond COVID-19, if it drives the strategy of the organization, if it builds capability within the organization, capability of the leaders, capability of people to thrive in the new world, then L&D can make a difference. Thank you very much. I will pause here and we will now open it up for any questions. If you have any questions, I will try and answer.
Thank you so much, Surya. It was a very clean and a precise presentation. All our doubts, actually, you voiced it. So, friends, please share your particular question in the chat box, and I will be moderating it today. This is Shilpi Khandelwal. So, can you please share it in the chat box?
So there's one message which says, can you show this slide, the perish, thrive, and survive and thrive slide again?
Yeah, so Ankita, could you go through to that slide particularly and please share it once again? Urvi, can you please unmute me because every time I have to juggle with it. Can you please unmute me for some time?
Yes, ma'am, you are unmuted.
All right. Thank you. Can you hear me, Urvi?
Yes,
Yeah, we can hear
Perfect.
you, Shilpi. Go ahead.
Perfect. So, and Surya, there are some questions also. So let me know if I can start with the question or would you like to wait for the slide?
No, we can start with the question.
Perfect. So here we have somebody saying, could you please elaborate on the key skills of L&D practitioner that needs to be learned and unlearned and relearned in this particular stage and phase? So this is, I think, Kavita speaking to you. Right.
All right. So some of the skills which will be important now would be, I think the most important skill that's going to be is to develop business acumen, understanding how is this world changing, how is the industry, how is economy, how is the business world changing. I think understanding that is going to be important. And the ability to be agile, because organizations will look for quick solutions and we cannot take our usual time of going through the learning, design, and development cycle of creating and launching training programs. We'll have to become agile, quick, and respond to organizations' needs at a faster pace. I think that's going to be important, but at the same time, not compromising on the quality. So that's also going to be important. So business acumen, agility, being able to create adaptive, immersive, engaging training content, learning content is going to be another important skills that L&D practitioners need to develop. Also, along with agility, or what goes as part of agility is the ability to experiment and try and make course corrections. Because as we adapt to the new world, adapt to the new way of training, new way of learning, it's also going to be a lot of learning for all of us. So we need to become flexible, and we also need to become willing to try, experiment, and be prepared to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. I think these are some of the skills which will be important, but the list is a little longer, but they're the top of the mind skills that L&D leaders need to bring in on top of what they already have.
Thank you, Surya. That was really informative. But some of us, we still doubt that how quickly we can go to that particular skill because this will need a newer mindset. So can you share about the speed of, adapting towards all these things that will help us, and how can we become more agile within ourselves first, and then obviously we can go ahead and share it with others. So
yeah, no, that's a good question. So the differentiator clearly is the fixed mindset and growth mindset. And we need to, I think the fixed mindset tells us that this world is not going to change, and then nothing can change. But the growth mindset You put yourself at the center and then say, I take the responsibility of changing everything, making a difference, solving problems. So I think it's largely a mindset shift more than anything else. But if we don't shift our mindset, we're not going to pick up new skills. We're not going to pick up new tools. So I think that mindset shift, that's important. But all of us, we have a particular wiring in our brain, and the degree of learning agility would vary from individual to individual. So all of us are not, definitely most of us are not at the same stage of progression. So all of us are at different stages of progression, depending on where we came from, what was our past experience, our background, etc. So I think it has to be driven by leaders like us who champion learning, who have got years of experience with multiple businesses. We have got experience of turning around organizations, etc. I think we'll have to play a big role in driving that. We'll have to become role models. There is no training program that you can deliver on how to shift people's mindset. I think it has to happen through coaching, mentoring, by watching people, by leaders becoming role models and then driving the change. There is no shortcut. There is no quick and dirty method to get there. We'll have to bring in some disruption. We'll have to bring in some disruptive thinking in people's minds to drive that.
Fantastic, Surya, because somebody also asked, could you give us an example of the new training system? I think right now we ourselves have to start exploring. Would you have any example, or I think I can go to the next question?
If you're asking for the name of a platform, there are hundreds of them.
Yeah.
So and then if you go to the internet, you will find many of them. But I think we need a system which can bring in collaboration, engagement, which is available on the go to people, and on top of it, through which we can bring in content which is of quality and of relevance. So it's interesting, engaging, on the go, available on the go, and relevant. So if you can drive all of this through a system, I think we are able to meet our objective, because in the new world, it's all going to be about the learner. It's about me.
Absolutely.
Who can help me? Where do I get information? Who is the subject matter that I can reach out to? What platforms I can use to access knowledge on demand? It's all about me. It's not about the trainer or the facilitator. It's about the learner. So how do you meet that learner needs? How do we design? How do you make learning programs more adaptive, which meets the needs of different learners at the same time? So that's going to be the key.
Perfect. I think very well answered, Surya. The next question is, do you think with all this change, there is still a career in L&D? So a very pertinent question right now. Or L&D as a vertical, is it going away, or is it going to stay? That is the question.
I think L&D is the most exciting career option that's probably available at this point in time. I might be a little biased being an L&D professional myself. But today organizations, so I don't know who asked this question, but my dear friend, organizations would now need help. They would need help to bounce back. They're struggling to survive. One way of thinking is that they're struggling to survive. How are they going to pay for my training? But if I can help them survive, if I can help them bounce back, if I can help them build capability that will support their bouncing back, if I can make leaders, if we can teach and coach leaders to become resilient, the leaders, if you can coach them to become more adaptive, more agile, if you can teach the workforce to become more agile, they would look at us for help. They need help. If the help comes from L&D, they would love it. If L&D can't help, they will find out where to get that help from.
Perfect. A lot of questions are coming. How can we change the customer's mindset towards online training? So, is there any answer to this question?
So
it's from Kavita Lal. Yeah.
And COVID-19 happened. this organizations were divided. Some believed, well, online learning, virtual learning is not a new concept. It's not here because COVID-19 has hit us badly. It has been there even before the crisis appeared or surfaced here. So now the question is, because of this crisis, online learning adoption has been accelerated. So the mindset has already changed. Many organizations who believe that work from home is not possible because we need a very controlled, monitored environment where we can watch people working, they have changed their mindset. They've started believing that this is possible. So similarly, organization mindset, leaders mindset is changing now. More and more leaders themselves are now going to edX or Coursera or Udemy and other MOOCs platforms to learn themselves. So mindset shift towards online learning and virtual learning has definitely changed. And this COVID-19 coming in, it is now accelerating that shift.
Perfect. In the present scenario, does corporate or companies see constructive measures from L&D practitioners? That is a question. Again, it's a number. I don't know who has spoken. So is there any answer to that?
In that scenario, they need your operational, tactical, and strategic support.
Mm-hmm.
Practical because the shifting from work from office model to work from home model, and the people are not used to it. People don't know how to work effectively from home. Leaders don't know how to manage people from home. Leaders had people sitting in front of them. They were watching them all the time. Now the people it's a distributed team that they're leading. So they will need both tactical and operational support. Tactical support to enable their workforce to quickly shift to that new way of working. We have to train people how to conduct meetings virtually. We have to train people how to hold one-on-ones virtually. We have to teach our managers how to manage their people virtually. So that's a tactical support they need. Of course, strategic support as the organizations plan, put their transformational plan in place, as the organization really think how do they bounce back after the COVID-19 crisis. They will look for talent. They will look for capability to make it happen because they cannot do it without people. They cannot do that without capability. That's where L&D will play a very good role in becoming a strategic partner in driving capability for the organization.
Fantastic. So we have to shift our gears from corporate to academia. Academics, how do you think, how does this change in the business affects the academics? That is one question. And there's another question which I'm combining. Any idea or suggestion for education, organization, or institution impact after COVID-19? So it's on academics.
That's a great question. So Shilpi, I was amazed at the way educational organizations have really shifted to a new way of learning, new way of teaching.
True.
Schools have shifted to online classes. Colleges, universities, B schools, they all have moved there. And they were the earlier ones who moved. They're the early movers. They moved fairly quickly. And that was amazing. And now they need to really work on it because they have shifted the classes to online classes. But now they have to think, how do they conduct assessments? How do they conduct their connect sessions with their teachers? The connect session between teachers and students. How do they make their mentoring session more effectively? So they'll have to really think about all of this, and how can they bring in some of the practical sessions which used to happen inside a lab in the presence of a trained instructor. How can that now happen virtually? So they have a lot of work to do. I think they've just moved their classes online, but I think a lot to do in that space.
Fantastic. The next question would be, is it possible to have experiential learning? Will it be effective online? That's another question by Kavita.
That's a challenge for the practitioners. That's where the reimagination, that's where we have to reimagine and reinvent. How can make that possible? If people can work from home, why can't they get experience online. In some industries, some roles, it may be difficult. In some other roles, it may be easy. It may be simpler. So that's a challenge for the L&D practitioner to reinvent. The biggest challenge will be, it's easy to move technology training online because you can bring in simulations, etc. But now, how do you take leadership training? How do you take behavioral training? How do you take soft skills training, experiential learning to a virtual environment? That's where I think L&D will have to reinvent, rethink, and reimagine. It is possible.
Perfect. Super. So we have many questions, one of which is a long one, and I would like to read it. It's nice to listen from you, the session on, say, future after lockdown. In fact, one of the earlier participants asked, how would the companies or organization be immediately after the lockdown? Do you see them opening doors for employees to walk in as a normal, or are you going to see some shift in their way of working? That is one question. And the other question is, which is a little long, I happen to hear from news that the whole world is facing destructive economic slowdown, and heard IMF quoting that the world would be worst hit and it requires a huge tenure to come back. How would you suggest to survive? Because I think that's first required before thriving from the slowdown, because the poor are going to be worst hit. So this is a question from Adarsh. Is it
Yeah.
Adarsh? Yeah, Adarsh. So how do you,
Yeah. So
before even going to thriving, surviving mode? Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So yes, so many we are heading towards a recession. This is absolutely correct. And so recession is I think it's the writing on the wall. And another question is, when you get to the state of recession, organizations close down, people they lose their livelihood and so on. So this is not going to be one individual or one organization's responsibility to bounce back. It has to be a collective responsibility where governments, businesses, social organizations, societies, NGOs, charitable organizations, academics, educational institutions, all of them will have to come together, because no one can solve this problem single-handedly. It is not possible. So the poor will become poorer, so governments will have to help them. But governments need to have enough money to support everybody. Several industries might just disappear. Organizations might disappear. Airlines will be in a bad state. They will look for help from governments. But governments need to have the funds to support them. So it has to become a collective responsibility. The most important thing would be to bring activity back into the industry, the economy. Activities have to start. So everything has locked down. Everything has come to a standstill. Now we'll have to start activities. Organizations will get back to business. Society will have to get back to business. People will have to get back to work. And then that's the only way people will earn their livelihood, improve their purchasing power, improve demand. And the demand will improve the production activity in the industry. And then supply, there'll be more supply to meet that demand, and then there'll be signs of recovery in the economy. So I think most important thing is to getting back to business. And in the new scenario, some organizations strategically, because of the nature of the work they do, healthcare, insurance, etc., will thrive because of the nature of the business. They are needed for survival. And then some organizations will, why would somebody go and buy suitcases or travel bags? Because not many people are going to travel in near future. So they may not sell, but the healthcare products might sell. Another question is, some of course will go away, some will thrive. So those who are struggling, they will have to really reimagine. So for example, recently we saw in the news that ITC started delivering their the products, the groceries and other supplies through Domino's delivery channel. So those delivery boys were sitting idle because Domino's were not selling pizzas anymore. Nobody was buying them. But ITC was not able to deliver, or because they did not have a delivery channel, door-to-door delivery channel. So these two organizations came together, ITC and Domino's, and then they kind of used each other's competencies and their strengths, and then came up with a new business model. So such collaborations will have to happen. Organizations will have to come together and collaborate. Rather than compete in an unhealthy manner, they'll have to support each other and then see how they can complement and supplement each other to bring, and some of those activities, collaboration between governments, businesses, institutions, academicians, non-governmental, non-profit sector, and people in general, will be able to drive this change. It's easier said than done. It's going to be a long way ahead. It's going to be challenging times, but I think our resilience will be able to bounce back.
Perfect. I think we are already done. It's almost 7. I'll just take 2 more questions just to ensure, because this is like, how can we train hard skills online? That is one question that was asked. And I'll take another one. Once you please answer this, I'll tell you the other one. How can hard skills be trained online? Is there any
if you're
answer
talking
to that?
and domain skills, it's easier to kind of train people online, because there is enough technology available today which can create simulations, etc. And hard skills are largely in the cognitive domain, so it's easier to deliver. But I think on the other hand, I'm surprised that you were referring to hard skills, but on the other hand, soft skills will be a little difficult, because that's in the affective domain. That's about people's behavior, people's emotions, their psychology. So that's a little difficult and challenging. But hard skills will be easier because there are enough tools, and cognitive domain is always easier because there are enough tools where you can teach concepts, ideas, application, and so on. I don't see that that's going to be a big challenge.
Fantastic. What I would suggest, I'm sorry?
Even before the COVID crisis, I think the e-learning companies and education companies, edtech companies have really come up with plenty of tools using which actually hard skills can be taught.
All right. So I think this is all about today. What we've done is we have given Smita's email ID. Everyone, any more question to Surya, please share it on the email ID. And if you want to connect with L&D Global, please share your interest. And thank you, Surya, for such a informative session. I'm sure we are going to really take it forward and be in the Thrive Zone, as you said. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you.
Pleasure being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Surya. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.